The congressman from Kentucky, James Comer, is with us now. We want to talk about the cover-up and the investigation that he is overseeing right now on what happened with the autopen, what happened with the president, who was actually running the White House, and why this matters. He represents Kentucky's 1st Congressional District, serves as the chairman of the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability, where he aggressively advocates for reducing waste, fraud, and abuse in government. Welcome, Congressman. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Good. Your investigation has shown us now that there may be as many as 3, more than that, but 3 in like a little cabal that were kind of orchestrating the use of the autopen for key executive actions and pardons. Can you confirm whether you have any evidence identifying a person or persons?
Yeah, we have 3. We have very good sources that point to 4 staffers, most of whom no one's ever heard of, that were the ones who actually operated the autopen. Remember, even if Joe Biden was on the top of his game, and even if he were authorizing the use of his signature on an autopen, he's not the person that would take the document and put it in the autopen and press the power button. We've identified the 4 staffers. We're fairly certain these are the 4 staffers that actually put the autopen in operation. We're bringing them in. We've asked them to come in voluntarily, which that's the process to do a subpoena. If Thursday is the deadline for their response. We've given them a week to respond and lawyer up and all that. If they do not respond, or if they say no, then they will get a subpoena the very next day from me, and they will have to come in for a full-blown deposition. We want to find out the process, who gave them the authority to use the autopen, who were they talking to. Then the next step will probably be the names, like Klein and the people, maybe Jill Biden, the people that are in the news as who everyone suspects were possibly running the White House. This is important because so much was done in the last 100 days of the Biden administration from an executive order standpoint.
Right.
They Trump-proofed the government. They Trump-proofed the government with the autopen. And then we all know about the pardons, but just the executive orders alone, these are given the Trump administration fits in court, like when he's trying to bring the federal employees back to work. The Joe Biden autopen signed an executive order in the end saying they could continue to work from home and gave them collective bargaining rights and everything else. These are issues that are blocking the Trump agenda in court, and things that we think should be invalid because they weren't legitimately signed by the President of the United States. And furthermore, this investigation may reveal that the President of the United States didn't even know anything about these executive orders.
So I've heard that we have a whistleblower at a very high level of the Democratic Party that has blown the whistle on a little cabal inside the White House. That actually, what I heard was that some people in the White House had figured out a way to monetize the autopen. Is any of that true?
We don't know, but that will be a line of questioning, especially when you get to the pardons. Remember, everyone knows about the pardons for the Biden family as a result of our investigation, but they pardoned thousands of people. Some of them were murderers and rapists. Some were legitimate pardons, but when you're talking about thousands of pardons, who vetted them? Who gave them the authority? Those, and the autopen was used in every one of those pardons. Outside of the Hunter Biden pardon, it looks like the autopen was used on every single pardon issued by this president. And there's rumors that there were people that were monetizing that. I don't know, but we're gonna try to find out. But I'll tell you this, that a lot has come out in the last 3 weeks. We've been waiting on this. We've been waiting on this Tapper book. We have been waiting for this Tapper book for a while because we knew that he had sources inside the White House that spilled the beans on Joe Biden's mental incapacity. So this has helped fuel momentum for the investigation. More evidence has surfaced, so we're trying to go from there.
So, what specific legal or constitutional violations do you believe the autopen may have breached, and how serious
Well,
is this?
first of all, yeah, it's very serious because first of all, you have to physically sign anything pertaining to the law. I have to sign subpoenas. I can't. I have an autopen. Everybody in Congress has an autopen. Use an autopen to sign proclamations and mass letters and newsletters and things like that. But if
wait. Didn't we in 2000, I don't know, 10, Barack Obama, maybe 8, Barack Obama is in Hawaii, and it was the first authorized use of the autopen for a executive order or law or something. So did that not change? Was that a one-time only thing?
Our lawyers say you have to sign anything pertaining to the law. You have to physically sign it. If Obama had a situation where he was in another country and something had to go out, I don't think anyone would challenge that. But to use the autopen for everything for the last at least 100 days of the administration, when you have so much activity. This wasn't a natural disaster and you had to do an executive order to get food to people who were starving to death after a tornado in Kentucky or anything. This is Trump-proofing the next administration to where you can't eliminate the Department of Education because you can't fire those employees. You can't make the employees have to come back to work. You're giving them more rights to work from home. Where you've signed executive orders saying, you've got to pay the student loan debt off. I mean, the list goes on and on. And my whole family, they're pardoned. By the way, you can't prosecute them. You can't touch them. So. These are the kind of things. If I have a subpoena, I have to fly back to Washington to sign it, or we have to overnight it. I mean, there's a million things that you have to do and have to get it notarized and all this other stuff. This was not legal. There's no way these will hold up in court, especially if there's no evidence that Joe Biden gave the order to use the autopen, and we have found no evidence where there were emails or anything that said Joe Biden said, yes, I want to sign that executive order or I want to sign that pardon. Just go ahead and get the document and put it in the autopen. Remember, he spent very few days, the last 100 days, in the White House. He was in Delaware, going between his two mansions on the beach. He was not in the White House. So there's a lot of evidence that's going to be hard for the Democrats and their friends in the left-wing media to try to spin that Joe Biden was actually running the show. And if you're in the White House, if you're giving the orders, why not just sign it there? Why do you have to use the autopen?
You sent letters to the personal physicians as well as multiple advisors. Mm-hmm. Were we going to hear from the physician? I mean, we all suspected the president was not actually running things. We have to know the real truth about his mental capacity towards the end, which would also strengthen the case that he didn't have any idea about the autopen. These weren't things that were coming from him. He was probably, like Edith Wilson did with her husband, shoved underneath a hand or shoved into the autopen and signed without him really being cognitively able to understand what he's signing.
Right. Yeah, and that's obviously why we're bringing the physician in. We have a lot of questions. We're going to consult with Ronnie Jackson. If Ronnie is available, I'd love to have him in for that interview or deposition, whatever it turns into, because he was the White House physician under Trump. And I think that he has a lot of insight. I've watched several of his interviews, so he knows exactly what's expected of the White House physician. I mean, this Dr. O'Connor, he better be on the top of his game because we have his predecessor in Congress who's been very critical of a lot of the statements that Dr. O'Connor put out praising Joe Biden and his health, and that comes out that he's got stage 3 prostate cancer, and they're trying to say, well, we never tested him for prostate cancer. I mean,
Why
that's
would you
just
not
not.
do that? That's not
I mean,
reasonable.
I'm 52. I get tested for prostate cancer every 6
year.
months. I mean, yeah.
So we're talking to Congressman Comer, who is Kentucky's congressman from the 1st District, but he also is the chairman of the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability. The thing that I think most Americans want to see is not just the uncovering of the truth, but actually consequences. If this were happening, are people going to jail for doing this? This is we just heard from Jake Tapper's book again, just yesterday or day before, that they were calling themselves the Politburo. That there was a few of them, 3 or 4 of them, that were just saying we're running it now, and if he's reelected, we'll still run it. That's not constitutional.
It's not constitutional. If I, as a member of Congress or chairman of the Oversight Committee, could put people in jail, I would have put some of the Biden family members in jail. We investigate, and then we turn over the results of our investigation to the Attorney General. So that question should be asked to Pam Bondi. We certainly hope that she holds people accountable. We're still optimistic that she will hold people accountable from investigations of the Biden influence peddling. We've Jim Jordan and I have led 3 or 4 investigations where we believe that people should be held accountable for things that were done in the last administration. So again, if I could put people in jail, I would do it. Of course, if the Democrats, when they were in charge of Congress, if Adam Schiff could put people in jail, he would have put Jim Jordan and Scott Perry and Donald Trump in jail if he could have.
Right. I mean, I want the system to work the way it should. I'm glad you don't have the power to put people in jail. I'm glad it goes through the DOJ. But the DOJ, if there are actual crimes committed, I can't think of a higher crime than usurping the power of the president of the United States and hiding the fact that he's not actually making the decisions or running the country. That is, in my view, that is a very high crime.
And it's the biggest scandal in the history of America. If you have 3 or 4 bureaucrats, like what Tapper is alleging, that were never elected, that no one's I've never heard of them, and I'm pretty involved in things in Washington, and they're running the country. I mean, that is a bad deal.
Congressman, thank you so much. Thanks for spending some time with us and explaining what's going on in Congress, and best of luck to you. When do you expect an answer? They have to answer by tomorrow, before you subpoena them?
By tomorrow. If they don't, they know the next step, subpoena. We've been very clear about that. So, and that's the process. So we're starting with them. We'll see where the trail leads. I fully expect every name that Jake Tapper has alleged in his book. We're running the country, as well as some others that many on conservative media suspect we're running the country. I fully expect to hear from them all over the next few weeks, hopefully.
Good. Thank you very much. Congressman Comer from Kentucky.